Welcome to PaleriderTV, back with another video. This is a continuing coverage of Operation Highway Shield here in Florida that took a lot of drivers off the road. It was over a 4-day period. This was a press conference they gave right after the operation ended. And we're not going to cover the whole press conference. We're just going to cover the Derek Barrs, the chief of FMCSA, and what he has to say. Then we'll go further into the video where he answers some questions from the audience, news media, I guess, who's all there. So let's start off right here where we're at.
Honor to bring to the podium Administrator Derek Barrs, who, if I may take a personal point of privilege, is a retired Florida Highway Patrol trooper and a former chief of the Florida Highway Patrol. Sir, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate it. Well, thank you all very much. It's good to be back home and be in the great state of Florida again. I want to recognize everyone like everyone has done just a few minutes ago, but we can't do the things that we do from a federal level without our state partners that we have. And I will tell you unequivocally that this is one of the best that there is in this country. Before I get started, I want everyone to know a couple of things here. If you're operating an unsafe vehicle or if you're an unqualified driver on our roadways in this state or any other state, get out of the business. Go somewhere else and do something else, but don't be on our roadways.
Right.
With these folks behind us, but I also want to thank our folks in Alabama, and also want to thank our partners in Georgia who really worked the border areas to ensure that we didn't have people, we have push and pull. We have law enforcement officers that are working in one state where they may decide they want to do something else in another state, but they really shielded the border, if you will, and I really want to thank them for their work that they've done. I also want to recognize the leadership of U.S. Secretary of Transportation, Secretary Duffy. His focus on safety, accountability, and strengthening our transportation system has been instrumental in effects just like this, the one we're talking about today. This operation is a clear example of what we can accomplish when we all work together for one shared mission, and that's safety. When we first discussed this type of operation, the state of Florida stepped up and they immediately asked, how can they lead? They did not hesitate. They wanted to serve as a pilot on this particular initiative. And because of that leadership, we now have a model that is helping shape how we move forward across the entire country. Folks, this is what American leadership looks like, in my opinion, and Florida does it right. We started this initiative with a clear mission: protect the American people and defend the integrity of our transportation system. We at the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, our mission is clear: reduce crashes, injuries, and fatalities involving large trucks and buses. And under the leadership of Secretary Duffy, as I mentioned, this administration, this mission has never been more clear. This operation set a message not just across Florida, but across the entire country. As I mentioned, if you're operating unsafely, if you're cutting corners, or you're exploiting loopholes that we have in the system, or if you're using the transportation system to hide criminal activity, our job is to make sure that we take you off the roadways.
Yes.
When something didn't look right, whether it was a driver, a vehicle, or a company, it didn't slip through the cracks in this operation, and it doesn't, because we have people who are dedicated doing this every single day. We investigated it, and we're continuously investigating issues related from this particular operation. This is how we're cracking down on bad actors, and that is how we're protecting the American people. The vast majority of truck drivers out there every single day, they're doing the right thing. They're transporting over 70% of all freight, things that we account on every single day, whether it's the clothes on our backs, the food that we serve, that we have at restaurants, and so forth. They deserve a system that rewards safety and integrity, and they deserve to know that those who break the rules will not be allowed to undercut them. I can assure you this, that not at one point in time, we will continue to do this effort consistently. We have more coordination, we have more enforcement, and more accountability. We have to work together. A zero tolerance for those who put American lives at risk. To the men and women who carried out this operation, whether it's federal or state, who worked a part of this operation, I want to thank you for your hard work and the work that you've done to make sure we take the bad actors off. Your work is rebuilding the foundation of trust, integrity in the transportation system. To our partners again, thank you for your leadership and for your commitment for getting this right. and helping the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration be able to have a blueprint to where we can take this operation all across the country, as I mentioned earlier. Because together we are defending the rule of law and making our American roadways safer here in Florida, again, and all across this country. I want to thank you all for coming here today and being a part of this operation, from every agency that have participated, and your willingness to step up to help us. And thank you again for Florida being that leader. So now I want to turn this over to one of our great partners, Kelly Walker.
Well, that's his little speech so far. Sounded pretty good. What do y'all think? Let's fast forward a little bit down where he gets back up here and answers a few questions. There he is. Let's get back here. Let's see. Right there. Let's start right here.
Highway safety on that one, on your span, or even you from?
Well, so I just talk generally just across the country. For example, there's over 3 million inspections that are done every year all across the country. Florida, for example, if the numbers are about right, they do somewhere around 100,000 plus roadside inspections every year. The national average of placing a driver out of service is around 10%. So 10% of an inspection that is done, that driver is going to be placed out of service. And we're seeing a little bit of uptick in that. And then you'll have around 25% or so mechanical. So back to your original question, brakes, tires, rims, things of that nature, something that's related to that truck. So we're seeing about 25% nationwide, which would also equate here in Florida as well, of the number of vehicles that are being placed out of service.
25% of the 10%?
No. So
Just
it's a
quarter of trucks that go through or getting taken out?
Trucks that are inspected, so we'd say 25 to 30%, either a driver or vehicle is going to be placed out of service when they do that roadside inspection.
Is there anything that flags something to be inspected, or does
Yes.
every driver that goes through?
So a driver, every time you have these inspections, they go into our system to be able to determine, okay, is this a high risk carrier? Does this, where are you at kind of in the threshold for inspectors to actually look, okay, when it comes through the weigh station, or they run the U.S. Department of Transportation, which is a registration number, it says, okay, this one is not right. It's on my radar screen. I need to do an inspection on that. To answer your question, yes.
And what happens after that? The truck comes off the road, people get arrested, and then what? Do they get back on the road? Do the people have to fix them? Like, what happens after that?
So if it is an out of service condition, is placed out of service, the vehicle or the driver, whatever that violation that puts them out of service, it has to be repaired before it can go back on the roadway. That is correct. And then further to that, we have a couple of our investigators that are here, and FHP also has investigators that go out to these companies and do a broader investigation on the company to determine, are you actually doing the things that you should be doing? Do you have your mechanical files the way they're supposed to? You have your vehicle and driver files the way they're supposed to be? And those are areas that they will investigate. Your drug and alcohol clearinghouse. Do they actually do an MVR, checking their motor vehicle reports for the drivers and so forth? So all of that is a part of the overall investigation that will be triggered from these roadside inspections that are taking place today.
Mm-hmm.
You'd said there was an uptick in the number of drivers who were being taken out of service. Why is that?
Well, I think there's a couple of things. I think number one, I think you've got more strong enforcement plays a part in that. And I think that's what we're showing, is that enforcement is critical in what we're doing. And so when you have more enforcement, you're actually going to see an increase in that. There's also some violations, I believe, they're actually being enforced now that hadn't been enforced in the past. There are out of service conditions where they weren't. And so it's a totality of a lot of different things. It's not just one thing, it's a multitude of things. And I think that shows the importance of taking the bad actors off of the roadways, of having strong enforcement like you've seen here in Florida and other places across the country.
Was there anything in particular that sparked the need for this operation? Was there anything going on in Florida where you're like, we got to do something?
No,
Yeah.
it's well, as the
Illegal
as the director
drivers
said,
killing
I am a proud retired
people.
state trooper, and what better place for me to come back to try to put a pilot program into place, that knowing that I've got great partners behind me, that we can now develop a program to take across the country. And we can look at where were we successful? Where do we have gaps? Where do we need to make these things better? So when we do take it to the next location, we've kind of learned from that, and we've learned from great partners. But at the end of the day, I will say that it's time to enforce, and it's time to take the bad folks off the roadways and allow the good people who want to do it right where they can be competitive. The commissioners talked about raising money in their pockets. I mean, the margins are small for trucking companies. And so when you got bad people that are undercutting people that are doing the good things, it's hard to stay in business. So this is a safety issue for us, is what we do, because at the end of the day, this is about saving lives and enforcing the laws that are on the books. Because I can tell you, there's people on this panel right here. You can't unsee death. You can't unsee the things that you respond to. And if that doesn't motivate you to go and do the things that we're doing every single day, I don't know what will. Because there's a person in my mind right now that I can tell you, every single time I wake up, I think about that young girl who was killed by a log truck. Everyone here can tell you about the ones that they know, that they saw. So if that doesn't motivate you, like I said, I'm not sure what will. Again, at the end of the day, this operation is about safety and how do we take it to the next level. You can't not talk about the issues.
Last questions?
I have one last thing.
I'm sorry.
I just want to answer the other question on what you just had.
Sure thing.
So a lot of it spurring why we did this here, like he said, he was a retired trooper, I'm a trooper, the deputy commissioner was a trooper and everything. So it's partnership. And then what you see up here is the partnership that we have so closely together. It makes it easy to come here and do that. Our federal partners, the relationship with our federal partners has never been stronger, ever. I can tell you that for a fact. I'm driving here. I've been on the phone with other federal leaders, and it makes it so much easier to come here because everybody's willing to roll up their sleeve and get to work. So I hope it's all about partnership.
Can I clarify a little bit what I'm getting at? Okay. Anecdotally,
Yes, ma'am.
for the past several years for me, I have felt like I've seen more and more people in large trucks or people with CDLs driving erratically or speeding in a way that I feel like I didn't see 10 years ago. Again, that could be in my head. But so I'm wondering if things have actually gotten worse and if there was some decision like we need to step up enforcement for CDLs specifically,
Well,
or if it was just time in general.
No, I mean, we do know that people do things nefariously. We do know that. And that's part of why we stay in business working, the thing is, and I think you're just becoming more aware. I think what it is you're becoming more, because you see things as you grow, as you get older in life, you see life experiences and people you're seeing have issues happen in the business you're in. You have to see what we see too at the same time. So the awareness is what's there. So the beauty about having like a highway shield or anything else that we do like this, it brings light to the public so they can see it. I can probably tell you, and I'm probably going to speak on your behalf, with highway safety. When I travel, I'm always listening to the communications, listening to the radios to see if I can be a help to anybody anywhere. And I hear more BOLOs, be on the lookout for erratic drivers. We have people with these cell phones now that are calling them in a lot, and they're calling it out. Here's the plate, here's this, here's that. And if you're in the area, the trooper in the area or the deputy or somebody that could get in the area, including me, we'll try to find them and see if we can stop that erratic behavior.
I think that's
But
about
it is.
it.
It's
I don't
just the
think
awareness
Derek Barrs
campaign, and by
comes
us
back
doing
up.
this makes us more aware, and it saves lives. It really does.
So we wanna-
So great question.
Let's hear the closing.
Don't have the proper documents. Any more questions?
Did he say he's also going to be available?
Go as west as you can without going in.
Well, that's it. Let me stop sharing that and get up here. Where we at? There we are. We are back. I was down there in the basement watching all this. Yeah, that's Operation Highway Shield cracking down. Florida is cracking down. The rest of the states should probably take a lesson from Florida about getting these non-driving, non-domicile, non-English speaking, non-American born illegal truckers off the road. So that's a pretty good deal. Good old Derek Barrs there. And this is down here in Florida. I didn't realize, I got back from Matt's and I was looking at something or somewhere. I didn't know he was a retired Florida Highway Patrolman. He was in charge for a while. I didn't know that. Now I do. Now I do. So that's pretty cool. I'm down here in the state of Florida myself. So there you have it. So let me know down in the comment section What y'all think about this situation going on? Is it a good thing, bad thing? Hopefully it'll help trucking. So I appreciate everybody watching. Everybody have a good day and stay safe.